Welcome friends. In today's panel discussion, we are going to discuss one important aspect of world history, what is called Renaissance. The fall of Roman Empire was the marching step. We learn about Renaissance and how Renaissance led to the revival of world history in the world history of a modern world and also the Reformation. Welcome you here.
Thank you.
With us, is Nishant, and he will tell us about different aspect of Renaissance. So tell me why it is called Renaissance. First question is about Renaissance.
Renaissance basically means rebirth, and it is called this period from 14th to 17th century mainly is called Renaissance because it was a revival, a bit of rebirth of the ancient Greek and Roman culture, where people went back to the classical teachings.
What happened to the Dark Age? That Dark Age was not good. How it led to the the event that Renaissance took place?
Dark Ages from basically from 5th to 10th century was called dark by Francesco Petrarch particularly because not much literature was produced in that period and no big sort of innovation or anything was created, so it was called the Dark Ages. Then as came the 14th century, people start focusing more on humanism and other topics, and then came the Renaissance.
Tell me what is the biggest factor that actually prompted for departure from the Dark Age and that led to the rise of Renaissance?
In my opinion, there are three big factors. That was the decline of feudalism, an ancient system in Europe.
One is feudalism.
Feudalism,
Yeah.
and a decline of Ottoman Church. So I'm sorry, did not decline. Fall of Constantinople by Ottoman Turks in 1453,
Yeah.
which prompted all the scholars that resided there to Italy. And the third was the beginning of the church, which was forced its ideas on. Now the people want to become free from the idols of the church and to think freely.
So the fall in 1953,
1453.
1453, sorry. So what it led to that?
As the Ottoman Turks conquered Constantinople in 1453, so due to the war, there was destruction all around, and due to that, the scholars that resided that time in the Eastern Roman Empire, that is the Byzantine Empire with capital as Constantinople, they fled to Italy.
Okay.
And Italy being a residence of rich merchants and big landlords, they patroned them. These scholars were geniuses, men of fine arts with a humanist approach, and they were supported by the landlords and the bankers and all big persons in the Italy.
Okay, so you are telling that all the good people, I mean, scholars, learners, painters, this poet, they all gathered at Italy.
Yes.
So what happened in Italy then?
So Italy became the center of learning,
Okay.
and from there the Renaissance started to spread throughout Europe.
Okay. So, I mean, that Italy became the epicenter of Renaissance.
Yes.
So tell me, who are those important contributor of Renaissance?
The important contributor of Renaissance is first the father of humanism, Giovanni Boccaccio.
Yeah.
Francesco Petrarch, who gave the theory of the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
Then Giovanni Pico della Mirandola, another noted humanist. Then in the field of art, we have Leonardo da Vinci, the great painter who painted Mona Lisa, Last Supper, and the Virgin of the Rocks and such paintings. In sculpture, Michelangelo Buonarroti, that who sculpted the world famous Pieta, and then we have Raphael who painted the Sistine Madonna. Then this period was to become a great period for the science and technology. For many great inventions were held in this period.
So I'll come to that science and technology. But my question is about Leonardo da Vinci.
Yes.
Everybody aware about the Leonardo da Vinci. Tell me, what are the main contribution of the Leonardo da Vinci?
Leonardo da Vinci, as
He was a versatile personality.
versatile. Not he was not only a painter. He was also a mathematical. Mathematics. He knew mathematics.
Yeah.
Then he wrote a bit of poetry as well. He was interested in the anatomy as well of human body, and further he did a bit of sculpture, but that was not much noted at that time.
who comes in, what are the famous paintings of that Leonardo da Vinci?
Some of the famous paintings of Leonardo da Vinci is the world famous Mona Lisa.
Mona Lisa.
Mona Lisa. The beauty of the painting is that from whichever direction you look on it, it seems that the girl in that painting is looking on you only.
Okay.
Then there is the Last Supper, where Jesus Christ is shown sitting on a table, having the supper, and that it seems that Leonardo da Vinci had Jesus Christ in his front that when he painted it. It's such brilliant painting.
Yeah, that's still people would like, people loves towards that.
And it still not be possible for any person to paint like that.
Okay, so that one part, but tell me, who are those important personalities in the discovery of science and technology, and how it led to a modern world?
First of all, the biggest of them, I would say Copernicus.
Copernicus.
Yes, a great astronomian who rejected the theory that Earth was in the center of the universe. Earlier, Ptolemy in his book Almagest in 40 CE, 140 CE, sorry, they said that the Earth was in the center of the universe and all the other heavenly bodies revolved around Earth.
Okay.
But Copernicus rejected this theory after a detailed study, and he said that the sun was in the center of universe and Earth along with other heavenly bodies revolved around it.
But that discovery of Copernicus could have hurt the people who believe that the things are otherwise.
Yes, that Catholic Church was not at all happy. Yes, and they took some severe actions on Copernicus as well, but he continued his.
He proved through scientific discovery.
Yes, he proved, but he could not prove much. But his theory was later proved by Johannes Kepler.
Johannes Kepler, yeah.
And one thing is said, but that Johannes Kepler did not share his discovery when he was alive, for he was afraid of the dire consequences that he would have to face. So so it is said that when he was on his deathbed, he told his disciple to publish the theories he had invented.
And what are the other scientists?
Most good of all, another Isaac Newton. How can you forget his contribution?
Yeah, Isaac Newton is very famous one. His time is also during the Renaissance.
1707 he was born.
Okay.
De Revolutionibus Principia Mathematica was his book, and he gave the 3 laws of gravitation.
Okay. And any other one, if you can tell us? That one is Kepler,
Copernicus, Isaac Newton, and even Galileo, who invented
Galileo, it is very important one to discuss about.
He invented the telescope.
And telescope, it is said that it was the milestone discovery of, especially in the medical science and all. So, that is science and technology, lot of things were discovered. Also in the art, literature, painting, music, many things that came that led to rise of, modern world. Any other things that impacted, suppose humanism and all.
Yes, humanism was a big theory in the Renaissance. And to be honest, I myself personally think that Renaissance is incomplete. This period of Renaissance is incomplete with humanism.
How it impacted humanism, that Renaissance?
Humanism is a theory that suggests that man is the center of his own universe, and by his mind he has the ability to conquer the world and or set big limits, big inventions, big discoveries, and the human achievement should be embraced upon. So people at that time in the 14th to 17th century period, mainly in Italy and the rest of Europe as well, become more free-minded. They tend to identify their limits and gave great contributions in different fields of art, architecture, sculpture, literature, science.
And that humanism also led to that discontinue that whatever the that anarchism in the society, the superstitions in the society, and that led to the thing that human, that is the mankind, is the most important invention of the God and the starting point.
Absolutely.
So what is the outcome overall? So many things that happened. So what is the overall outcome of all the things that happened during the Renaissance?
First of all, a spirit of inquiry developed among the people.
A spirit of inquiry. What do you mean by that?
A spirit of inquiry means they do not believe something without practically experimenting and proving it themselves.
Yeah.
They began to rely on rational thinking rather than the dead dogma.
Okay.
That living truth and dead dogma seem to have come that time only. So it was
Okay.
given by George Stuart Mill later.
So it's basically scienticism
Scienticism.
through methodical inquiry that emerged.
Yes.
Yeah.
And further, the second consequence, I would say that rise of international trade.
International trade.
So because
Tell me
the
something about how it actually led to discovery of new international trade routes and all.
yes, there were many discoveries at that period. When Bartholomew Diaz
Yeah.
discovered the Cape of Good Hope,
Yeah.
Vasco da Gama reached Calicut, and the biggest of all, Columbus discovered Americas. Though he was unaware of it, but it is an important discovery.
So trade route discovered, scientific inquiry, these all the things.
And-
So how it led to I mean a modern nation state also came that time. That the feeling of emotional feeling, that belongingness, togetherness,
Nationalism.
all this nationalism. Do you think this part of Renaissance or a later development?
I have read in some parts of books and reports that the democratic values also emerged at that time. So, if it is emerged, that it was a big contributor in the establishment of nation states later in Europe, and
But
that was to particularly affect the American War of Independence. Even they took a contribution from that, and French Revolution as well.
okay, French Revolution also it impacted.
Yes.
Now, Renaissance, we understood about the Renaissance, but how it led to Reformation? What do you mean by Reformation?
Reformation is a religious movement which led to two big events.
Yeah.
That the many of them who were unhappy with the Catholic Church broke away from it and established a new sect of Christianity, Protestantism,
Okay.
which had different names in different parts of Europe, like Presbyterianism in Scotland, Calvinism in England, and so on.
Okay. So, I mean, it is a natural, outcome of Renaissance, that Reformation.
Particularly humanism.
Humanism. Right. So, my point is, when Europe was witnessing the Renaissance or the Reformation, what was the condition of India that time? We compare Europe to India, the time of Renaissance or the Reformation. What was the political, social, or economic conditions of India that time?
The 14th to 17th century is mainly the period that Renaissance was in Europe. At
Yeah.
that time, till 1526, India was ruled upon by the Delhi Sultanates, the Turkish and later Afghani rulers.
Yeah.
And after the Delhi Sultanate, there came the Mughal Empire. So India was under the Turks, and whatever the economy was, that was handled by them only, and the resources that they got from the people that stayed there, they used it in India only, unlike the British.
Yeah.
And so India's economic condition is not much in detail at that time, but the social condition.
The poverty and un-British rule in India that Dadabhai Naoroji discovered. My point is that suppose that Renaissance took place in the Europe, new trade routes were discovered. And by that way, that all the European traders, they came to India, made India colonized. India came under the British Empire. So, sometime Renaissance was bad for India. Do you think like that?
To Renaissance, it did not give much way to colonialism. It did not encourage colonialism.
Yeah.
There is no point in that. But yes, the new trade routes that were established, that certainly made the ways for sailors easy. And then they came and traded with India. Firstly, they came with trading motive, and then as they went to value profit more than anything, they started to conquer and made India their colony.
My final question, had Renaissance not occurred in Europe, so what could have happened to the world history?
I think it is practically impossible that Renaissance had not occurred in Europe. For the Dark Ages had become.
Suppose the fall that in 1453 that was not happened, that led to march of all the scholars getting together in Italy, that may not have happened. Italy could have not become the epicenter of Renaissance. Suppose such hypothetical situation.
That would have impacted big events in world history. Maybe that would have even delayed the colonization of the British upon India and other territories. There would not be such big discoveries, telescope, big paintings, architectures, sculptures.
May not have happened the First World War. Because it was also the outcome of, trade routes, colonialism, empire expansionism, these all the things that finally led to the World War One. So many thanks to you that you enlightened us about the Renaissance and the Reformation that took place in the Europe in the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th century, and that have deep impact, because whatever the world history, the developed Europe we see today, because that had big impact of your Renaissance, and also the religious movement that took place in the Europe between Catholic and the Protestants. Martin Luther King, big champion of that Protestant.
Reformation.
Yeah, so that's very important one. Thank you very much, and a very nice discussion that took place with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.